When my manager handed me a stopwatch and told me I had exactly 90 seconds for bathroom breaks and anything over would be docked from my paycheck, I thought she was joking. She wasn't. What I didn't know was that her little policy was about to cost the company $2.3 million, and I was about to become the reason why. I started working at Meridian Financial Services 3 years ago as a claims processor. It wasn't glamorous work, but it paid the bills. The office was one of those sprawling call center setups, about 200 employees crammed into cubicles, all of us wearing headsets, all of us watching the clock. For the first 2 years, things were fine, normal even. Then corporate decided our branch wasn't hitting metrics fast enough. They brought in a new operations manager named Diane Kowalski. Diane came from some logistics company where she'd apparently been nicknamed The Optimizer. Within a week of her arrival, I understood why. She installed monitoring software on every computer that tracked our keystrokes per minute. She removed the chairs from the break room so people wouldn't linger. She eliminated our 2 15-minute paid breaks and replaced them with 1 10-minute unpaid break. But that was just the warm-up. One Monday morning, Diane called an all-hands meeting in the main conference room. 200 of us packed in like sardines, while she stood at the front with a PowerPoint presentation titled Maximizing Productivity Through Accountability. Effective immediately, she announced, clicking to a slide showing a pie chart of time waste. All non-work activities will be logged and tracked. This includes personal phone usage, conversations with coworkers not related to work tasks, and restroom breaks. A murmur rippled through the room. My coworker, Marcus, who sat in the cubicle next to mine, leaned over and whispered, "Did she just say bathroom breaks?" Diane clicked to the next slide. It showed a picture of our time clock system. You will clock out before using the restroom and clock back in when you return to your desk. Any restroom time exceeding 90 seconds will be deducted from your pay at your hourly rate. The room erupted. People started talking over each other, asking questions, some laughing nervously because surely this had to be a joke. "This is non-negotiable," Diane said, raising her hand for silence. "Studies show the average restroom break takes 45 seconds. We're being generous with 90. If you have medical conditions requiring extended breaks, you'll need to submit documentation to HR for accommodation review." I raised my hand. "Diane, is this even legal?" She fixed me with this cold stare. "Marcus, I don't recall asking for legal opinions from claims processors." "It's actually James," I said. "The policy stands," she replied, ignoring my correction. "Compliance will be monitored." That afternoon, they installed a secondary time clock right outside the bathrooms, a physical time clock mounted on the wall with a printed sign that read, "All employees must clock out before entering, clock in immediately upon exit, 90-second maximum." People were furious, but what could we do? Jobs weren't exactly falling from trees, and Meridian's health insurance was decent. Most of us had families, mortgages, car payments, so we complied. The first week was humiliating. You'd be walking to the bathroom and have to stop, badge in, then badge out when you came back. Everyone could see exactly how long you'd been gone because the system displayed it right there on the screen. Diane had the timestamps emailed to her daily. Marcus got docked 45 minutes from his first paycheck for excessive restroom time. He'd had a stomach bug and spent about 20 minutes in the bathroom over 2 days. When he complained to HR, they told him he should have planned better or gone home sick, unpaid, of course. But here's where it got really bad. There was a woman in our department named Patricia. She was 58 years old, had worked at Meridian for 11 years, and had a medical condition. I later learned it was Crohn's disease. She'd already submitted her accommodation paperwork, but HR was still reviewing it. 2 weeks into the bathroom policy, Patricia had a flare-up. She was in the restroom for about 7 minutes. When she came out, Diane was standing there with a clipboard. "Patricia, that was 6 minutes and 43 seconds over the limit. That's going on your record and will be reflected in your next paycheck." Patricia's face went red. "I have a medical condition. I submitted the paperwork, which hasn't been approved yet. Until it is, you're subject to the same policy as everyone else." Patricia started crying right there in the hallway. I watched a 58-year-old woman with over a decade of loyal service cry because she'd been publicly shamed for using the bathroom. That night I went home and I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Patricia, about Marcus, about all of us, lined up like cattle, badging in and out just to take care of basic human needs. So I started researching. I spent hours reading about the Fair Labor Standards Act, state labor laws, everything I could find about bathroom break regulations. And what I found made my blood boil. OSHA, the Occupational Health and Safety Administration, has clear guidelines. Employers cannot impose unreasonable restrictions on restroom use. Making employees clock out for bathroom breaks and docking their pay? That's not just unethical. In most cases, it's flat out illegal. I printed out everything. OSHA regulations, Department of Labor guidelines, case law from similar lawsuits. I put together a folder with about 30 pages of documentation. The next morning, I walked into HR with my folder. The HR manager was a guy named Kevin, who always seemed vaguely uncomfortable, like he knew the company was doing wrong but didn't have the spine to say anything. "Kevin," I said, placing the folder on his desk, "I need to file a formal complaint about the bathroom break policy. It violates federal labor regulations and OSHA guidelines. I've documented everything here." Kevin thumbed through the folder, his face getting progressively paler. "James, I'll need to run this up the chain." "That's fine, but I need this documented. I'm also asking that the policy be suspended immediately pending review." "I can't promise anything. Then I'll be contacting the Department of Labor directly, and I'll be encouraging my coworkers to do the same." Kevin's eyes went wide. "Let's not be hasty here. Give me 48 hours. I gave him 48 hours, and in that 48 hours, something interesting happened. Diane called me into her office.
All right, I need to stop here for a second because this is exactly where things went completely sideways. I'm about to walk into Diane's office and I have no idea what's coming. Subscribe right now if you think I did the right thing by going to HR with that documentation. Or drop a comment. Would you have done the same thing or would you have just kept your head down? Because what Diane said to me in that office, I still can't believe she thought she could get away with it. Let me tell you what happened next.
Diane's office was at the corner of the floor, all glass walls so she could watch everyone. When I walked in, she gestured for me to close the door. She didn't offer me a seat. "James," she said, leaning back in her chair, "I understand you've been causing some problems." "I filed a formal complaint about an illegal policy," I said. "That's not causing problems, that's following the law." She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "You're what we call a troublemaker. I've seen your type before. You think you're some kind of crusader, but really you're just afraid of hard work." "This isn't about hard work, it's about basic dignity." "Let me make something very clear," Diane said, standing up and walking around her desk until she was right in front of me. "If you pursue this complaint, I will make your life here unbearable. I will document every mistake you make. I will put you on a performance improvement plan that you cannot possibly pass, and I will terminate you for cause, which means no unemployment benefits." She said all of this calmly, like she was reading a grocery list. "Is that a threat?" I asked. "It's a promise. Withdraw your complaint by end of day, and we'll pretend this never happened." I left her office without another word. My hands were shaking, partly from anger, partly from fear. She wasn't bluffing. I'd seen her do exactly what she described to other employees who'd pushed back against her policies. But here's the thing Diane didn't know. I'd recorded the entire conversation. My state was a one-party consent state for recordings, and after what I'd witnessed with Patricia, I'd started keeping my phone's voice recorder running whenever I entered management offices. That evening, I filed a formal complaint with the Department of Labor. I included everything: the written bathroom policy, the payroll deductions, witness statements from Marcus and 6 other coworkers who agreed to go on record, Patricia's medical situation, and the recording of Diane threatening to retaliate against me for filing this complaint, which is a separate violation of federal whistleblower protections. I'm happy to include that in my Department of Labor complaint if we can't reach an agreement. The color drained from Margaret's face. She turned to look at Diane, who had gone very still. "We'll need to discuss this internally. This meeting is over for now." I didn't hear anything for 3 days. Then on Thursday morning, I got an email from corporate announcing that Diane Kowalski was pursuing other opportunities and that the bathroom break policy was being temporarily suspended pending review. But that wasn't the end of it, not even close. The Department of Labor opened a full investigation. Investigators showed up at our office the following week. They interviewed dozens of employees. They reviewed payroll records. They found that over the course of 4 months, Meridian Financial Services had illegally docked employees more than $180,000 in pay for bathroom breaks. But that was just our location. The investigation expanded. Turns out, Diane's policies had been implemented as a pilot program at 3 other Meridian branches. The total illegal deductions across all locations exceeded $800,000. The Department of Labor hit Meridian Financial Services with fines totaling $1.4 million. They were ordered to repay all docked wages with interest, another $400,000. They were required to implement a company-wide training program on labor law compliance, and they were placed on a 3-year monitoring program. Marcus got back the 45 minutes they'd stolen from him, plus 2 years of back interest. Patricia not only got her money back, but also received a private settlement for the public humiliation she had endured. I heard it was 6 figures, though she never confirmed the exact amount. As for me, I never took a dime. I did this for no money. I did it because I watched a 58-year-old woman cry in a hallway because someone decided her bathroom needs were a theft of company time. 3 months after the investigation concluded, I got a job offer from a competitor. Better pay, better benefits, and a management team that treated employees like human beings. I took it without hesitation. On my last day at Meridian, Kevin from HR pulled me aside. "For what it's worth, I'm sorry I didn't do more when you first came to me." "You could have," I said. "You chose not to." He didn't have a response to that. I walked out of that building for the last time, knowing that 200 employees could now use the bathroom without being timed, tracked, and punished. I'd made some enemies at that company, sure, but I'd also proven something important. Illegal policies only survive when everyone stays silent. Sometimes, all it takes is one person willing to say, "No, this isn't right, and I'm not going to pretend it is."
Thank you so much for listening to my story all the way to the end. If you've ever dealt with an illegal workplace policy or a manager who thought they were above the law, I want to hear about it. Drop your experience in the comments below. You never know who might need to hear that they're not alone. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And hey, if you have your own workplace nightmare you want me to share, send it in. Your story could be featured in an upcoming video. Until next time, know your rights, document everything, and never let anyone tell you that standing up for yourself makes you a troublemaker.